Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Okay, guys, it's Tuesday, November 12th, and I've just uploaded the first video, which is the decode for Q posts yesterday, and now we are going to get on with the Q-related news, so let me jump right into it. Well, not literally jump, but yeah. So we're going to go down from here. This was the Q posts, and we're going to get to the news part, which is here. All right. Okay, now I want to pick and choose a bit because I don't have a long time to post tonight, but I do want to hit the highlights so that we won't get so far behind. All right, now it's interesting because this from Trump Super Elite, it says, now we're learning that one of Adam Schiff's staffers flew to Ukraine to dig up impeachment dirt, and guess who paid for it? Burisma, Hunter Biden's former company. Isn't that interesting? So Burisma gave the money to Adam Schiff's staffers for them to fly to the Ukraine to dig up impeachment dirt on Trump. Isn't that something? Yes, it is. All right, let's go on now because there's a lot. Now, this is interesting, and we're going to get to this. Nikki Haley, and this from the Right Scoop, Nikki Haley says Trump's top aides told her to oppose him, and she's naming names. Now, this is from November 10th, so I'm a couple of days behind on this, and that is why I wanted to get this news video out tonight so that, because I'm sure tomorrow will bring its own news. All right, well, it's getting serious now. Nikki Haley is naming names. Former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, claims two of President Trump's former senior advisors tried to get her to undermine him to save the country. The Washington Post reported Sunday, citing Haley's upcoming memoir and an interview with her. According to the newspaper, Haley said former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and former White House Chief of Staff John Kelly would try to get her to work around the president. Kelly and Tillerson confided in me that when they resisted the president, they weren't being insubordinate. They were trying to save the country, Haley wrote, according to the Post. It was their decisions, not the president's, that were in the best interests of America, they said. The president didn't know what he was doing, she continued. That was their opinion, not hers. Wow, that is not going to go well among the base. On the other hand, these guys are already out of the administration, so there's not much to do about it now. But the big question is this: are there still some other top aides who are in the administration working against Trump? Haley goes into detail about one of those occasions. In one portion of the book, Haley reportedly recalls a disagreement with Tillerson and Kelly during an Oval Office meeting over her suggestion that the United States should withhold funding for a UN agency that supports Palestinians. She said she had the backing of Trump's Mideast envoys, according to the Post. Kelly and Tillerson, however, argued that cutting aid could lead to violence and greater threats to Israel, as well as reduced U.S. influence, Haley reportedly wrote. Kelly, she added, later responded to Haley in his office. Kelly, she added, later responded to Haley in his office. I have 4 secretaries of state, you, HR, Jared, and Rex. I only need one, she wrote, referring to Jared Kushner and then National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster. I was so shocked I didn't say anything going home because I just couldn't get my arms around the fact that here you have 2 key people in an administration undermining the president, Haley told the Post. Also, I could see her naming these guys, kind of encouraging them to speak out some more, but if that happens, it'll only rile up Trump's base even more. So, interesting to say the least. Not surprising, though. So let's go back now and see what else we have. All right. This again from the Right Scoop. Oops. Sorry. Now, what is this? Breaking Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, who testified for Dems, is out of the NSC. Libs cry retaliation. Now, again, this is from November 10th. Liberals are freaking out over the demotion of Colonel Vindman from the NSC after he testified in Democrats' investigations this week. Scott Dworkin, breaking, Trump has fired Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, whose damning testimony confirmed Trump tried to bribe and extort Ukraine. Now, that's not what his testimony confirmed at all. In fact, well, he lied because we have the transcript. So he can testify to anything he wants and say whatever he wants, but he's lying. The firing is an abuse of power and another impeachable offense. Oh, give me a break. Trump retaliated against an American patriot on Veterans Day weekend. Disgusting and pathetic. Eye roll, everyone? Okay. That didn't make me feel any better. Margaret Brennan, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, who has testified under oath, is serving on the National Security Council currently. Will he continue to work for you despite testifying against the president? O'Brien. Well, look, one of the things that I've talked about is that we're streamlining the National Security Council. It got bloated to like 236 people from up from 100 in the Bush administration under President Obama. We're streamlining the National Security Council. There are people that are detailed from different departments and agencies. My understanding is that Colonel Vindman is detailed from the Department of Defense. So everyone who's detailed at the NSC, people who are going to start going back to their own departments, and we'll bring in new folks. But we're going to get that number down to around 100 people. That's what it was under Condoleezza Rice. She came and met with me. I met with a number of my successors. Margaret Brennan, right. Grant Stern, unsurprisingly, but that doesn't make it even 1% right. The White House is firing Colonel Alexander Vindman from the National Security Council in retaliation for his truthful testimony to the House. Yeah, it wasn't in retaliation for his truthful testimony. I can assure you of that. O'Brien, we don't need to recreate the Department of Defense, the Department of State, the Department of Homeland Security over at the White House. We've got great diplomats and soldiers and folks that do that work for us in the departments. Margaret Brennan, just to button that up though, you're saying Lieutenant Colonel Vindman is scheduled to rotate out. You are not suggesting in any way that there will be retaliation against him. O'Brien, I never retaliated against anyone. So it's Margaret Brennan, but his time is coming to an end. There will be a point for everyone who's detailed there. Margaret Brennan, okay. O'Brien, that their time and their detail will come to an end. They'll go back to the agency. And what we want them to do is take the experience and skills they learned at the White House, take it back to their departments and agencies, and do an even better job there. And so we're grateful that we can have these detailees come in, and they'll come to spend a year or, maybe a little more at the White House, and then they'll go back to the agency and they'll do a better job at the agencies. Margaret Brennan, all right. O'Brien, having been at the White House, kind of sounds like she knew exactly what to ask. Maybe she had been tipped off. Anyway, not everyone thinks this is a de facto retaliation, including Tom Nichols, who is definitely not a fan of Trump. Tom Nichols, now if Trump or someone around him orders Vindman assigned to Mars Colony 5 or gives him a lousy fitness report, yes, he can claim retaliation. But removing him from NSC isn't that. He's been sent back to the DOD, not fired from the Army. What happens next is what matters. So you can bet we'll hear more about this because they're freaking out that this happened so close to Veterans Day. So get ready for all that all day tomorrow. Well, that's it for Sunday. We hope you've had a better weekend than the Buffalo Bills and the Carolina Panthers did. Have yourselves an open thread. Here's some comment fodder. And it says this is from Overheard on Duty. My Uber driver's car reeks of weed, and I'm pretty sure I see crack stem under his seat. Not sure he realizes the address he's taking me to is a police station, but in 8 minutes, he's going to have a bad day. Take care of yourselves and each other. Not sure what that has to do with Vindman, but it was funny anyway. All right, let's go back. Trying to get through this stuff as quick as possible to get as much in as I can. Let's look at this. Now, Mark Dice is not my favorite person. Why, you ask? Well,
the videos mentioning the potential
it's not anything to do with his work at all. It's just his mannerism and so forth. I just feel that he's, well, it's a personal opinion. And that's all it is. So let me see here. He's talking about the censorship over the WB. So that is what he's talking about, and I'm not going to play all 7 minutes, but I am going to play a little because I think what he has to say is important. I may not like him personally, but I have no qualms with his work whatsoever. And the only reason, I feel like I need to say this now. The only reason that I dislike him, and perhaps it's unfair, but I don't like the fact that he calls everyone, sluts and this and that. I just, for me personally, as a Christian, I think that we need to pray for these people, but calling them all sorts of names, like really nasty names, doesn't help the situation at all. So that's where I'm at. It's not anything big, major deal. It's a personal preference. That's all. Okay, let's listen.
But there's no other way to describe it. Facebook and YouTube are Orwellianly censoring the name of the whistleblower, in reality a deep state operative who kicked off the impeachment inquiry, from being posted. YouTube videos that mention his name, at least in the title, the tags, or the description, are being detected automatically by their AI, and YouTube is locking the videos on private. On Friday, I started seeing tweets from several YouTubers saying that their videos about the whistleblower had been taken down and locked on private, and it doesn't take a genius to see the pattern that all of those videos were about the whistleblower. Then CNN's Oliver Darcy, of course, got a statement from YouTube admitting that's what they were doing, probably after he suggested that's what they do, writing, quote, "A YouTube spokesperson said the videos mentioning the potential whistleblower's name would also be removed. The spokesperson said the company would use a combination of machine learning and human review to scrub the content. The removals," the spokesperson added, "would affect the titles and the descriptions of the video, as well as the video's actual content." As you probably know by now, every video that's uploaded to YouTube is immediately scanned with their voice recognition software, which creates a transcript of everything that's said in the video. And then that transcript is scanned for certain keywords to determine whether or not they're going to demonetize it or not. And now that same software is being used to scan every video that's been uploaded to look for any video that even mentioned the name of the whistleblower, and then they're taking them down. And look what we have here. It appears that CNN's Oliver Darcy also broke the news that Facebook was removing any post mentioning the whistleblower's name.
Surprise!
Facebook even issued a warning to my friend David Harris Jr., who I met at the White House Social Media Summit this summer, and who has over 700,000 followers, that they may just delete his whole page because he named the whistleblower too many times. There's plenty more to come in this video, so stay tuned. But real quick, subscribe to my channel if you're new here, because if this is your first time watching my videos, it's a miracle you found them at all with all the censorship going on. So subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to get notifications.
Okay, well I just wanted to play that part where he was talking about that. And yeah, censorship is getting unbelievable. I'm noticing that they are continuing to drop subscribers. People will subscribe and then they'll let me know that, gee, I was subscribed, but then now I'm not. So check. Now that I'm thinking about it, check to make sure that you are still subscribed if you wish to be, and hit the bell for to be notified of future videos. And also, because I am not listed in suggested videos anymore, if you have friends or family that you think would like to view the content, please pass it along or post it to YouTube or wherever you are on social media. So if you wish, I'm not into making people do anything. All right, so let's go back now. Except brushing your teeth. you really need to brush your teeth. But other than that, all right, okay. Now let's look at this, and I think you're going to be surprised by this if you haven't heard already. Yeah. Baby Trump stabber, GoFundMe contributors to be refunded, organizer says. Okay, so the guy that stabbed the Trump baby balloon, well, I think he's a hero, but I guess, they didn't feel the same about him. So, they actually charged him. Well, GoFundMe had taken in a great deal of money, and hopefully it'll say how much, but somebody started a GoFundMe for the guy that stabbed the balloon to pay for his legal costs and so forth. And GoFundMe has released a statement saying they're not going to honor that, and they're going to refund everybody that contributed to it. So there you go. There go the fundraising Nazis again. Censorship is everywhere. So update, GoFundMe has released a statement to CBS 42 regarding Hutchinson's page, which they claim is still active. The campaign is active, and Mr. Hutchinson is permitted to withdraw the funds. The funds are being held by our payment processor until Mr. Hutchinson's banking information is added to the campaign. Oh, well, this must have been just updated, because that was certainly not the case. It was updated November 11th, so this must have been updated after I read it. So interesting, because they had said that they were going to refund all of the people that had contributed. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, GoFundMe that had been set up to help with the legal fees of a Tuscaloosa man who destroyed a caricature of President Donald Trump over the weekend has apparently been flagged. In a message posted on the GoFundMe page, Restitutions for Baby Trump Stabber, Monday organizers released the following statement. We have been reported by the sympathizers. Apparently, we didn't read the fine print. GoFundMe is not going to allow these generous donations to help Hoyt. They will soon likely refund all of your support. Apologize for the inconvenience, folks. Thanks for the kind words, prayer, and financial support. Reach out to Hoyt on Facebook. We love hearing from fellow patriots. Hashtag Trump 2020. As of Monday afternoon, the GoFundMe had reached nearly $40,000. So you can understand that people supported what he did, because, they thought he's a hero. Just like the lady that stabbed it over in UK, she did the same thing, and I thought it was great. I think it's extremely disrespectful of our president, and I don't really think it should be allowed. Like, if that had been a caricature of Obama in diapers, can you imagine what would have happened? Oh my gosh. Or even Hillary. Can you imagine? But it's okay with Trump. I mean, anything goes. So $40,000, that's a lot of money. That would feed a lot of cats. Hutchinson, 32, was arrested Saturday afternoon after he was observed by an officer cutting into a 20-foot inflatable image of Trump called Baby Trump, depicting the president as a baby. An online campaign has raised over $6,000 to bring the inflatable to Tuscaloosa for Trump's arrival in town for the Alabama LSU game. According to Hutchinson's GoFundMe page, all money raised that would not be needed for legal fees would be donated to Trump's re-election campaign. That sounds more than fair to me. GoFundMe campaigns to raise money for legal costs is a tricky subject. In 2015, the site announced it would no longer support legal defense funds on its platform, stating it will not allow campaigns that benefit individuals or groups facing formal charges or claims of serious violations of the law. However, the site has allowed for other types of legal defense fundraising in different capacities since then, such as the Time's Up Legal Fund. Currently, GoFundMe has a clause that does not allow any campaign it deems to be for the legal defense of alleged crimes associated with hate, violence, harassment, bullying, discrimination, terrorism, or intolerance of any kind relating to race, ethnicity, national origin, religion affiliations, sexual orientation, sex, gender, or gender identity, serious disabilities or diseases, or financial crimes, or crimes of deception according to its terms of service. Well, please tell me how stabbing a vinyl balloon is violent. I mean, it didn't hurt anybody. Hurt the balloon. Is it harassment? Well, possibly of the people that own the balloon, but I wouldn't call that harassment. Bullying? No. Terrorism? I don't know. Was anybody terrified? Intolerance. But it's not related to race, ethnicity, national origin, religious affiliation, or sexual orientation. So, I don't know. They're full of crap. But Hutchinson is currently charged with first-degree criminal mischief, which is a Class C felony. I got charged, but that's all right, Hutchinson said in a video published on his Facebook page after he was released from jail Saturday. I'd do it again if given the opportunity. Organizers of the GoFundMe page have listed another form of contribution on the page. So, anyway... yeah, but up here it's saying that yeah, they must have got a lot of bad press because GoFundMe's released a statement saying that it's still active and he will receive his funds. It's being held by our payment processor until he adds his banking information. So there's and I hope he gets it. I do, and I do trust that he will give whatever's left over to the Trump campaign. So there you go. It's a win-win for everybody. All right. Obviously, those people that donated wanted him to have it. So there you go. Okay. Well, let's go back here. No, really, let's. Here we are. We're going to come down here. Charlie Kirk. Did you know under Obama, 307,000 vets died waiting for VA care? According to CNN. Oh, yeah, that's according to CNN. 307,000. Since Trump took office, he's fired nearly 8,000 VA employees who failed to take care of our veterans. This president is draining the swamp for our veterans. Oh, yes, he is. Now, here's something very interesting and confusing, but interesting. In a confusing sort of way. All right, this says, why are Moby, Tom Cruise, and Ashton Kutcher involved in the Ukraine scandal? Gee, can't think of any reason, can you? I can think of plenty. Excuse me. Now, this is from October the 2nd, but this is the first time seeing it, and it's gobsmacking. As if the Trump impeachment drama couldn't get any wilder, a bunch of celebrities keep popping up in and around the Ukraine scandal. It makes perfect sense in the alternate reality we seem to be living in. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with the world's most prolific and diminutive. I know what the word means, I just can't pronounce it. Action hero Tom Cruise in New York on Monday night. After days of high-level political meetings at the UN, their summit was ostensibly to talk about the star filming a forthcoming movie in the European Union. Cruise noted the cobblestones in Ukraine were very nice. Oh, well, good for him. We really care what he thinks. I don't. And isn't that interesting? You know, how is it that being an actor makes you some political guru? Well, I guess when you have a lot of money and you've got your finger in all sorts of dirty little pies, you know, and I don't know, it makes me wonder because, you know, Tom Cruise goes hand in hand with Scientology. I wonder if they have their dirty little fingers in Ukraine. I would like to look into that because it would not surprise me. So, Zelensky, a former actor himself, was best known for playing a president on TV in the Ukrainian comedy show Servant of the People before he won office in a runaway victory in April. When he met Cruise on Monday night, Zelensky gushed, "You're good looking, like a movie." I'm not sure I'm buying this. Cruz is a pro at this. It pays the rent, he replied. Video clips of the meeting released by Zelensky's office don't include any reference to the looming impeachment scandal in Washington, but at one point, the Ukrainian president tells Cruz he is exhausted. I get up and I'm tired, he said, laughing. It remains to be seen whether Cruz converted Zelensky to Scientology during their meeting. Well, let's hope not. In another odd case of celebrity diplomacy, Ashton Kutcher weighed in on Trump's election, meddling after he and his wife, Mila Kunis, also met with the Ukrainian president. Mila and I met with President Zelensky and his wife a little over a week ago, the actor wrote to his followers on the messaging service community. He's an investor in the company. Kunis, best known for starring opposite Kutcher in that 70s show, was born in the Ukrainian SSR. Their introduction happened after a meeting of Jewish community leaders to discuss rising anti-Semitism in Ukraine. Zelensky and Kunis are both Jewish, and he's the country's first Jewish president. After the meeting, Kutcher said Zelensky seemed like a good guy. My gut, he is committed to eliminating corruption in Ukraine. He's also committed to ending the war and grateful for the U.S. financial commitment because they needed it. He also told his fans he thinks Trump should be kicked out of office. Well, we really care what Ashton Kutcher says, don't we? Not a bit. If our president used that financial aid to leverage President Zelensky to investigate Biden, he should be impeached. Well, he didn't. If our president did not use it as leverage and simply encouraged President Zelensky to investigate Biden without cause, he should be impeached. Well, he didn't. If you like President Trump or not, America is the priority. Soliciting foreign interference in our election is un-American, Kutcher added. He didn't. You idiot. Also, now embroiled in the Trump impeachment scandal is electronic musician Moby, who introduced WB Val Broskmit, son of former senior executive at Deutsche Bank, to Congressman Adam Schiff. Oh, please, please. If I see Adam Schiff's name one more time, I'm going to vomit. But that's just me. Might not bother you. I don't know. Adam Schiff, chair of the House Intelligence Committee. Isn't that an oxymoron? He's chair of the House Intelligence Committee. Oh, don't you think you should kind of have some? If you're going to chair it? I'm just saying. So, Broadsmith has provided key financial information on the Trump family to investigators. Well, good for him. Moby reportedly met Broadsmith at a dinner party in LA and was entranced by his exploits and existential sadness. Oh. According to the New York Times, his exploits and existential sadness. Well then. Oh, that probably, no, it wouldn't impress me at all. The heir to Deutsche Bank is estranged from his family due to addiction issues and tried unsuccessfully to convince Schiff to pay him for the incriminating documents. He was ultimately subpoenaed by Congress. As the whole impeachment saga unfolds, pop culture and politics will undoubtedly continue to bleed together. After all, the scandal hinges on a phone call between a reality TV star president and a leader who learned how to do his job by playing a president on TV. It's too bad global diplomacy and the U.S. Constitution hang in the balance. Otherwise, this would all be too funny. Well, probably to you people that don't have two neurons to rub together. The intelligence of soap suds. I'm sorry. All of a sudden, I'm in a bad mood. I saw the name Schiff, and all of a sudden, it just put me in a bad mood. Anyway, interesting stuff. Oh, also, I came across this, and I was like, what? Like, this is from Congress. H Resolution 642, you can look this up for yourselves, recognizing magic as a rare and valuable art form and national treasure? Say what? And this by Representative Pete Sessions, who's a Republican from Texas. He wants magic recognized as a rare and valuable art form and national treasure. Okay, well, don't know what that's all about, but it's weird if you ask me. And kind of you did, because you're listening to my show. So you sort of did. But anyway, that's what I'd tell you if you ask me. It's weird. Dang weird. Let's go on. Alrighty, now. And then we get to this. Now, this is a Q post from the 2nd of November, and he says, rig for red. Donald Trump, posting November 11th, 2019, said the following. The lawyer for the WB takes away all credibility from this big impeachment scam. It should be ended, and the WB, his lawyer, and corrupt politician Schiff should be investigated for fraud. And he spelled investigated wrong. Now we know Trump's spelling errors are not because he's stupid. It's because he's sending a message, mainly to us, his supporters and Q supporters. So he put investigated, and he left out the T, and it says now red for fraud, rig for red, red for fraud. Now, rig for red is a submarine term, and when the submarine comes up to the surface, it turns out the lights, and they put the red lights on so nobody can see them. I guess that's where it came from. I don't know. I am not military. I've never been military, nor do I have military in my family. My extended family, yes, but not my family. So anyway, rig for red, it's a submarine term, absolutely. So, and usually when they're going to engage, they're coming to the surface to observe, engage, what have you, and they rig for red. And here we have red for fraud. Then here, do you believe in coincidence? And this from Enoch. The above POTUS tweet is a Q proof. Q signed off on November 2nd saying rig for red. Today, POTUS ends his tweet with red for fraud. Something rigged is fraudulent. Mirror POTUS red for fraud is fraud for red, or simply put, rig for red. I see what they're saying, but it was said in a very convoluted way. But hey, it was said at least. Now, let's look at this. No, really, let's, because we can. Come on. All right. And remember what I was saying about, now this was in the last video, I was saying about all of a sudden we've got the whole thing with Jimmy Carter. Well, this is from Sun Q Suit 2, and he is discussing this very, very thing. He's saying at 8:56 p.m. Eastern Time, Q posts, indictments coming 2019, and we just read that from yesterday's post. We're covering it today, but it was from yesterday. Q posted indictments coming 2019. 7 minutes later, NBC and ABC post about Jimmy Carter admitted to the hospital. Prior to this, ABC posts about this poor dog getting loose after owners involved in a car accident. Deep state distraction in the works. Absolutely it is. And so this is the news about former President Jimmy Carter. And he's having a procedure to relieve pressure on his brain caused by bleeding due to his recent falls. And the procedure is scheduled, it was scheduled for today. I haven't heard anything more about that, but I was stuck in traffic for hours today because of the snowstorm. I guess an accident, I don't know. But it took forever. So, and then here, breaking, former President Jimmy Carter admitted to a Georgia hospital and is scheduled to undergo a procedure to relieve pressure on his brain caused by bleeding from recent falls, the Carter Center says. And here, to the rescue, a group of concerned motorists stopped traffic to help a dog that apparently got loose after its owners were involved in a car accident on a Houston highway. Well, you know, it just, now, normally we wouldn't pay attention to that except to say, oh, I hope the dog's okay, right? But we know that around these things are always all this stuff about dogs. And we had another politician, and be darned if I can remember who it was, but if I do remember, I will bring it to you, that his dog died. Now, maybe it did, but it's odd. There's always dogs surrounding these deaths, dog posts. So there you have it. And what is this? Okay, I don't know. So that is that, and let's go back. I'm trying to cover as much as I can. That's the wrong page, so I don't know why I'm there, but I mean to be here. Now, I don't know why I've got ha beside this, so it must be funny. So let's go look. I need funny. Oh, it says, which one of you did this? That's weird. It's like there's a highway sign. It says exit 3 closed, 10. Exit 3 closed, and Epstein didn't kill himself. 10 p.m. to whatever, and Epstein didn't kill himself. So whoever did that, that's awesome. I love it. All right, let's go back. And here's another thing I thought you might get a little charge out of. This is a Papa John's pizza place. 728 Papa. Epstein didn't kill himself. Sorry, not sorry. Now, let's look at this. 20-year CIA psychologist, not a compliment, Jared Post has written a book, Dangerous Charisma, portraying Trump and his supporters as mentally unstable, a CIA operation against the president and the voters who elected him. You can't make this stuff up. No, you can't, but I wish we could. Because I wish all of this stuff was made up. You know what I'm saying? I really do. I wish it was all made up so that we, because this is just, well, it is really, it is made up, but it's like, I don't know, it's like living in a backward world or something, or upside down world, like white is black and black is white and good is evil and evil's good. And actually, scripture says that at the end of the age, that's exactly, men will call good evil and evil good, and that is exactly where we're at. So I am going to, oh, yes. I will be releasing the transcript of the first and therefore more important phone call with the Ukraine president before week's end. I love you, Donald Trump. Please let me come back to the States. I miss it. All part of the sting, and the poor Dems never caught on. They were being set up bigly. Yes, they were being set up bigly, and I like that. Now, let's look at this by the True Pundit while I itch my nose. While you slept, the U.S. government created internal passports. Now, this is from 5 days ago, but still very important. The deadline of yet another and perhaps the most insidious element of the post-9/11 initiatives, a partial list of which includes the establishment of the Transportation Security Agency and the Department of Homeland Security, and a never-ending international war against a nebulously defined, non-corporeal enemy, terror, is less than 1 year from coming to fruition. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Like, we've got this big war, on terror, which you can't define. It's nebulously defined. And it's interesting because they always announce it as a war on terror. Now, I know that there's accents and whatever, but terra is earth. To me, it's like they've declared a war on earth. Anyway, let me go on and stop babbling. Beginning no later than October 1st, 2020, citizens of all U.S. states and territories will be required to have a real ID compliant card or U.S. passport to board a commercial plane or enter a federal government facility. Pundits citing the inevitability of what amounts to a national ID card have regrettably been vindicated. To be sure, some states have resisted, but dependence upon federal aid and other programs administered by Washington, D.C. makes their ultimate surrender and compliance inevitable. There are any number of reasons why the alleged trade-off between liberty and security that a national ID card represents are being misrepresented. Any system designed, maintained, and run by human beings is ultimately flawed and in any case corruptible. The existing documents from which the information fed into the Real ID program are imminently vulnerable to forgery. To provide just one example, tens, perhaps hundreds of thousands of Americans don't have verifiable official birth certificates, and people can become radicalized after being issued their Real ID card. Certainly they can. The Real ID also represents the last mile in the ability of the state to track individuals in real time. With various electronic social media and cell phone tracking measures, there is always a delay, and one can choose not to use social media, not to own a cell phone, and opt into other methods of extricating oneself from the prying eyes of NSA or other government agencies. But the Real ID, in particular, coupled with biometrics, fulfills Orwellian conceptions of the total surveillance state. And it sure does. Now, I understand, it all makes sense why it's being implicated, but so will the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast will make perfect sense. You will carry all your information in a chip on your forehead or on the back of your hand, and you will not be able to buy, sell, or do anything without that mark. And we are, whether you like it or not, moving towards that, whether you believe it or not. So there you go. I wanted you guys to be aware of that and all the implications thereof. Now, let's go back, because we can. I'm not going to touch on that tonight. Now, yeah, and this is, okay. A newly filed complaint to the ICIG alleges that the WB, whose allegations ignited the impeachment inquiry, may have violated federal law by indirectly soliciting more than $250,000 from mostly anonymous sources via a GoFundMe. But someone who stabs a baby balloon, yeah, they wanted to keep their money until there was a public outrage about it. But this is the WB, and it's being, he indirectly solicited more than $250,000 from mostly anonymous sources. Interesting. Then Lisa Mae Crowley comments and says, pays off via GoFundMe, similar to how they send bribes to senior officials via book deals and movie Netflix deals. And also, you've got the fact that, what's her face? Two-Door Ford, I like to call her, she got, what, close to $1 million? It's unbelievable. Okay. I'm not going to, yeah, I don't know why that's in there. Let me see now. I'm not going to touch on that tonight either. All right, I'm almost afraid to get into this one because it's about, you know, the WB. And right now, things are so hot with this, but I am going to leave the link in my notes, okay? So if you want to go out and read about this, you can. It's about him hosting a 2016 White House meeting where Ukrainian officials were told to drop investigation of Hunter Biden. So that link is going to be in there. Excuse me. Losing my voice now, which is good though, because it held up through 2 videos pretty much. And let me see, I don't want to have missed anything else that might be absolutely delicious. I don't think I did. Well, yeah, well, you know, the company Ambrosia, that for $8,000 you could get like the blood of the young. Well, they have started that up again. So if you're old, you can start, which none of us are getting any younger. You can start infusing the blood of Children again. And then okay, I'm not going to touch on that either, but I'm going to leave the link in there, and it will be available in the notes. I'm going to upload that to Patreon. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys that support this channel. I appreciate it. It does keep me going since I've been demonetized, and it helps pay for the time. And also I am wanting to get some new equipment. I've already ordered new lighting thing, which should make it much better. And I'd like to get some new sound and camera, but all that in due time when available, and never want to put any pressure on anyone because I understand completely. There's a lot of people on fixed incomes and a lot of people that have trouble meeting their obligations to their own family. I get it. So if you can and you want to contribute to the channel, then please do. It's appreciated. If you can't, you're still welcome here. Always, you're welcome here. So don't ever feel guilty or obligated. And so that is it for tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be here hanging around like a bad smell. And, speaking of bad smell, and it's over now, so I can chat a little. It's so funny because tonight I caught myself because I'm one of these people that I don't feel dressed unless I have perfume on. And my mother was, she taught school for, I don't know, her whole career. She was a school teacher here. And she also ran her own travel business. So she's traveled everywhere. And she used to get these, like she would take bus loads across the border and she'd get these coupons at the duty free shop. And so she could never spend it there because she doesn't drink. And so she would always buy me all this really, like she'd say, list your favorite perfumes and I'll see if I can get them. And always, I had the best perfume collection of anyone. So when my mom retired, of course, I was like, okay, now I've got to pick one perfume because, perfume's expensive. And so I got to pick one of my favorites and, I'll just treat myself every now and then and, whatever. I just don't feel dressed without perfume on. Well, now in Canada, there's so many places you can't wear it. So if I'm going to be home, I always spray myself with perfume, or even if I'm just going out shopping or whatever, always. Well, I noticed that, usually I do my research in the morning. I go out, run some errands, make sure my mom's okay, all that stuff, come back, do my show, or have supper, do my show. But, before I do my show, like I make sure that, my hair's combed and whatever. But I noticed that every time, and I didn't even realize I was doing it until tonight, I would go into my bedroom, grab my perfume and spray my perfume before I came here and recorded. And I thought, well, why am I doing that? They can't smell me. It's like, all of a sudden I went, this is stupid. They can't smell me. Anyway, so if you smell something really good, that's me. So, yeah. So as opposed to the bad smell. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much for listening. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth because, Epstein didn't kill himself.